Joining us today is Tor Blair. He's the founder of the Secret Network.
Mic check. Oh, amazing. Thank you.
Well, you have almost a minute and a half extra. OK, so I'll give a quick introduction, and then we can leave some time at the end for questions. There was a long list of questions from the audience that we got. OK, so Secret Network, it launched on Mainnet in 2020. And as you probably know, it's the first privacy-enabled Layer 1 blockchain. It uses privacy-protecting smart contracts that are also called secret contracts, which use, in turn, both hardware-based and software-based privacy technology to protect data. Excitingly and interestingly, all data, by default, is private on the Secret Network and public if desired. The Secret Network is also open-sourced and permissionless, which means that anybody can operate nodes, anybody can deploy an app, and contribute to the network as well as its ecosystem. So with that, Tor, if you wanted to give an intro about yourself and then jump into the presentation, that'd be great.
Sure. Thank you, everyone, for coming. So I'm Tor. I'm the founder of Secret Foundation. Secret Foundation is one of the many entities that help support Secret Network. We have a big validator community. We have a big developer community, including the Enigma core development team based in Israel, a few of whom were able to come make the trek across the ocean, join us here at the conference today. So we've been having a great time meeting a ton of people, but just really wanted to jump into, I have too many slides, I think, relative to the time, so I'll just try to step through them as I can. We have a lot of updates from the ecosystem, but I'll start with a brief overview of what the network actually is and what the vision and the mission of the network is. So what is the secret of Secret Network? As we were saying, it's the first mainnet smart contract blockchain where there's data privacy by default for the smart contracts. So not to be confused with strictly transactional privacy coins like you may be familiar with a Monero or a Zcash, where the idea is that you can transfer value privately around the network, around the world. This is much more about providing a permissionless data privacy platform for Web3, where we can have unique types of applications that protect data privacy by design. So the equation here, as it's on the slide, right? You take the smart contracts of Ethereum, you add in this privacy by default. We're a Tendermint chain we build in the Cosmos ecosystem, so we add in that scalability and interoperability, and then we add, our own secret sauce with the programmable privacy, which we'll get into a little bit more on the other slides, and you end up with Secret, the big S, right there at the end. How it works, again, this is pretty much the only technical slide because I wanted to dive into what's actually happening on the network. So how it works, built to protect data and expand usability. We associate privacy with Web3, again, not with trying to send money without anybody knowing. It's all about improving security, improving usability, and expanding the design space 100x for Web3, for smart contracts, so we can onboard millions of users into the Web3 ecosystem. But just like in the Web2 world, they're going to want their data protected. Now in the Web3 world, Secret is trying to build out that platform where you can have data privacy instead of putting everything public by default on a blockchain. The key to this is secret nodes. So these are the actual nodes, the validators in the network that are processing the transactions, processing the computations, running the smart contract logic. So these are privacy-first validators. They themselves cannot even see the input data that's being used by the smart contracts. So this is it's even more secure than you might assume, because even on a network like Ethereum, we have these front-running issues where the miners can see transactions as they come into the memory pool. They can run their own transactions ahead of those transactions. This is a huge issue in Ethereum DeFi. It's an issue in basically every public by default blockchain ecosystem. With Secret, when you're building in the DeFi ecosystem, you have front-running resistance by default for every product on the network because the miners, the validators themselves, can't actually see all of this coming in real time. So that's just one of the security properties of having privacy for the network, but it's a massive one. MEV is responsible for billions of dollars in extracted value in the Ethereum ecosystem. So we care about that. We hope users eventually care about that too. Smart contracts in our network, we're not an EVM chain. We actually have our smart contracts written in Rust. They use, as I said, encrypted inputs, outputs, and state. It compiles using COSM WASM, so this is WebAssembly, and it all runs inside the enclaves, inside the nodes on the network. And the way the privacy model works is that if you are the user, if you are interacting with the contract, you have a viewing key. That viewing key allows you to see what you're doing, but it keeps other people from being able to see what you're doing unless you choose to expose what you're doing to that other user or to the application. That's the security model for every application on the network, every smart contract on the network, and it enables us to build some really cool new things. I won't spend a lot of time here. This is just about the native coin of the network. Like other L1 blockchains, we have a native coin. Ours is secret. It's used for what you see here, paying fees, computational and transactional fees on the network. It's used for staking. It's used for governance. So there's a lot of utility to secret. If you are a secret holder, you can be participating in governance at the network level. But the most exciting thing is just being able to use the secret applications themselves. Again, this is backward looking. I want to talk going forward, but you should know how we got here. Mainnet launched in February 2020 by a network of 20 plus validators. Now we have about 50 secret nodes in the network. We became the first blockchain with general purpose private smart contracts in September of 2020. So this is our 1-year anniversary at Mainnet. We are super excited about it. The first secret tokens, that was like the big first application for the network. It's like our version of ERC20s, our SNP20s. They are secret tokens that live native to our network. You can send them around the network, and they have transactional privacy by default for any token that you issue on the network. Around that same time, we launched our Ethereum bridge, so you could bridge Ethereum assets into secret network. In January, that hit Mainnet, and I think we topped out at about $150 million of Ethereum assets in TVL on the ETH bridge. Since then, we've launched a number of new bridges, including to Binance Smart Chain and Monero. There's other bridges in development. I'll get into the native Bitcoin bridge in a bit, but that's coming. There's a bridge to Terra. We're integrating IBC, so interoperability is a huge focus of ours. And we also launched the first more complex applications for the network, including Secret Swap, which is a native AMM. That launched in the spring, and all summer is when we saw the application layer really take off. Some of the first secret grants were awarded to support these early development teams, and a lot of these applications, as you'll see, are very close to reality, not just on testnet, but on mainnet. One more metric slide, just because I'm really proud of this. We have actual adoption, not empty promises. So this is the cumulative volume that you're seeing, like on Secret Swap, the most adopted app. You can see the individual delegators in the network. You can see all the computations and the users of the individual deployed secret contracts. This is all on mainnet. We track gas use over time. We don't normalize it back out to dollar value because it's more interesting to see the gas itself. That's like network level demand. We like to see that go up and to the right over time. That means we're doing something right. The more applications that launch, the more that graph goes up. That's the one graph I care about more than anything else, in addition to the individual user level metrics. We want to see real network usage increasing over time, showing demand for privacy first applications. So here's the big roadmap. This was a huge to-do because each one of the things that you see reflected on this ecosystem roadmap is pretty much being built by a different development team in the ecosystem. It's not like one massive development shop building everything for the network. We have dozens of independent development teams, whether they're organizations or individuals, building out applications, building bridges for the network. I'm not going to have time to go into everything on this roadmap, but we're going to be able to look at probably at the 5 select applications, some of which have never been discussed on stage before, so that's going to be fun.
Before we jump into that, can I interject with some of the questions that are more on the technical side, and then we can...
This would be a good place for that before we get into the individual applications.
Great. So one of the questions we received was, how can developers and users identify and verify a loss of funds if the token balances and transactions are private?
So this comes back to the viewing key model, right? So if there's some sort of interaction with it, let's start with how it works today. On Ethereum, if something happens, everything is public to everybody on something like Etherscan. You can go and you can verify funds have moved somewhere. It's one account to another. It's different with Secret because it is private by default, but the viewing key model makes it so that you can do these types of investigations. You can follow funds around the network. You can find these sort of vulnerabilities. The important thing is that you wouldn't want to interact with contracts on the network if you didn't know what they did. So importantly, the code is auditable. We're not talking about like a black box of code where you don't know what you're interacting with before you do. It's the data itself that's private. It would be pretty bad if we were asking people to go run like completely opaque code on their own devices or anything else and interact with that. But the fact that the code is public and the data is encrypted means that even if there is something like that that occurs, like it is the sort of thing that working together, the users and developers, you can trace those sorts of things. The trade-off, is in that you get the additional security beforehand of being able to have your assets protected. There's definitely some challenges in a private by default model, but I think personally they're more than made up for by the security advantages you get by instituting that model in the first place.
Got it. And then relatedly, what are the plans and sort of what do you put in place to avoid hacks that might be
The only thing you can really do is what everybody else does. I mean, like, audits are not a silver bullet. Like, you could say, like, audit everything. You could say the only safe thing is for, like, you to never deploy a contract ever. But, like, in the Web3 space, we want things to get used. Sometimes things are going to be extremely speculative and early stage. So, unfortunately, there's no absolute answer to how do you avoid hacks. But the best thing you can do, again, like if the code wasn't public and you didn't know what the contract did, you couldn't even discover those sorts of vulnerabilities before or after the fact.
Right.
So one thing that we're really excited for is like our community sort of self-organizing to establish these sort of code review best practices for the ecosystem. We have a lot of experienced developers who have come into the ecosystem who can do those types of code reviews. But we're just like any other L1 ecosystem. Like there will inevitably be those kinds of circumstances, and then it's just, we want that to happen as little as possible. And but we don't want to stop innovating. We don't want to stop trying to like ship applications, even if something happens, even if something could go wrong. I think we all understand in bleeding edge tech that, eventually things will happen. And fortunately, we have a very strong community when it comes to resolving those types of situations.
And that's why in our space we have multiple audits as well for that reason, because different audits pick up different things. So.
Yeah, and again, like it's just tricky. An audit is not a silver bullet. If it were, then no one would ever get hacked. Everybody would, but plenty of audits end up just being a rubber stamp. The best thing we can do is just have a better understanding as users and developers what the code is intended to do, and do our best.
So then the last question I have is. So, instead of using Intel's SGX cards to ensure private computation, did the team consider also leveraging ZKP technology instead?
So there's two main approaches to privacy in the blockchain space. Some of it is like the hardware-based technologies like trusted enclaves, and some of it is these cryptography-based methods like zero-knowledge proofs, fully homomorphic encryption, secure multi-party computation. And in fact, a lot of the early research in our ecosystem that was done by Enigma and others did focus on a lot of that cryptography-based, like pure cryptography-based approaches. The challenge is, just like with any technology, there's trade-offs. And the main trade-offs in privacy technologies is between security and like attack surfaces, but also in performance and in cost and in speed. And the determination that we made pretty early on in the development process was that true for today, especially in decentralized networks, that enclaves and hardware-based technologies had the best trade-off between here's performance, here's cost, here's speed, here's functionality. And we do everything that we can in the network to ensure that there's like very little that can be exploited about the security model, but nothing is ever zero. With zero-knowledge proofs and things like that, there's already immediate concerns about cost. Like, there's also concerns about like limitations around privacy. You can prove some things and not others with zero-knowledge proofs. It's easy to prove things that that nobody else does, but hard to prove things about like where no one person has the entire data set. So our idea was with enclave technology primarily, we can do more general purpose types of private computations. It allows for a larger design space, and again, the performance advantages against things like zero-knowledge proofs, and especially for developer adoption, where you might be asking developers to write their own circuits or things like that with ZK technology. We didn't like that trade-off. We'll definitely explore it, especially as a scalability solution, but where we are today seems to be perfectly fine for what things are trying to be used for, and you can build things on secret that you really can't build anywhere else as a result.
Great, thanks for that.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, 6 minutes. Let's go through the products while I can. So our next major network upgrade is SUPERNOVA. So SUPERNOVA is where we're concentrated on adding support for IBC. If any of you are familiar with the Cosmos ecosystem, this is inter-blockchain communication protocol. This is so blockchains can talk to each other. Initially, IBC focuses a lot on token transfers between chains. So this is our next big like mainnet upgrade. It also comes with new modules. It allows us to have Secret available on a lot of Cosmos-based liquidity platforms like Osmosis, and it's a major step towards what we want to see, which is cross-chain contract calls, where other networks are going to be able to execute logic on Secret Network to solve solutions in their own ecosystems. And that's the ultimate vision of like that Web3 privacy platform. It says October 2021 here. We're working really hard after that timeline. Things always change in the crypto space, but that's the goal. There's been like some recent events in the Cosmos space that are causing us to like think about like the best way to move towards this, but this is the next major network milestone, and we're pretty excited to be as close as we ever have been. So now more on the product side. I'm going to feature, I think it's 4, it might be 5 products. One of the next products to launch on the network is DeFi focused. So this is Sienna. We already have Secret Swap, as I said, which is one of the native AMMs for Secret Network. Sienna is building an AMM platform as well, but they're also going to be looking into some sorts of like lending technologies as well to really scale out the DeFi ecosystem on Secret. We're really excited to see more and more independent development teams doing this type of experimentation. The important thing is that all of these applications on Secret are all leveraging the same primitives, Secret tokens. They're all using Secret tokens, the same bridges to other ecosystems. So all these Secret DeFi applications are composable with each other, and they all retain this interoperability with other networks. Sienna is going to be, as far as I'm aware, going to be launching on Mainnet in the next couple of weeks, and people will be able to start contributing to those LP pools. They'll be able to trade. They'll be able to really explore Secret DeFi for the first time in a very different way from Secret Swap presently. Then on the Secret DeFi side still, this is really exciting. We recently announced that Shade Protocol is developing on Secret Network. This is a protocol for issuance of synthetic assets, and the first one is this asset Silk, which is a private by default decentralized stablecoin. It utilizes a burn-based model. It's similar to how UST works in the Terra ecosystem, but there's some improvements or at least some differences that have been made on the implementation side, how the economics actually work. If you're interested in learning more about this and the team behind it, some of the members of Shade are present at the conference. You can drop by the Secret booth and you can ask them for yourself. But you can also go to this website to learn a little bit more. If the new landing page isn't up yet, then this is really early alpha, but come to the booth either way. This is a little bit, if you want to look at a cool slide and see how it works. If you understand this immediately, then good job. I didn't, but I stared at it for a while. It's a little bit like Magic Eye. The longer you stare, the more sense it makes, and it's actually an incredibly cool mechanism. The Shade white paper goes into more detail.
Feel free to go over the time a little bit if you need to. Yeah.
A little bit over the time?
It's totally fine.
I'm not going to do that to Jack. So now, another exciting thing being built by, again, an independent development team is a native Bitcoin bridge. This allows you to bridge Bitcoin natively into Secret Network, and it's going to be pegged, one Secret BTC always equals one BTC. It's a trustless bridge, or a trust minimized bridge at least. And then we just announced this one very recently as well. This is the most exciting bridge, unlocks all of that Bitcoin as liquidity. There's really not that many amazing solutions out there right now for wrap Bitcoin within DeFi that go beyond like what WBTC is doing. I think this is the future. I'm extremely biased, but if you go to sbtc.ninja, which is the coolest domain extension that's out there, bar none, you'll learn a lot more about that, including their white paper as well. Everything I just said about like the roadmap being like this stuff is now. Shinobi's supposed to be, it's already on testnet, supposed to hit mainnet in October. There was an error processing a page. I didn't build that app. Do I get the next slide if I press this though? Nope. We do have more though. Oh man.
Wow.
Out of memory.
How big is the presentation?
This is new. I like this one. You want me to riff? Freestyle? I won't do that to any of you, no. So there are a couple more slides. I don't know if we're going to get them back, but there's a bunch more things being built out in the ecosystem. The other side I haven't even gotten to talk about is the NFT side of the ecosystem. So I'll say some words about secret NFTs while we see if we get this back. Secret NFTs are the only NFTs that, again, are private by default. So just like fungible tokens are privacy by default on Secret Network, so they're SNP20s instead of ERC20s, secret NFTs are private by default. And when it comes to NFTs, I personally believe that's 10 to 100 times more important. So if you own a rare asset that's one of one on Ethereum, you hold it in your wallet, you have immediately doxed yourself to the world. Everybody now knows you own that one of one in the collection. But what if you could choose what in your collection was private versus public? That's what secret NFTs actually unlock. Oh, good. It's up there, but it's not down here. Cool. So the first full stack secret NFT marketplace is this platform called Stash. And if you go, there's a website at the bottom, stash with 2h's.co. You can already sign up for early access to the platform. It's also coming to Mainnet, again, I'm told, in October 2021. Another independent development team working on this. I think if I press this, awesome. So you'll be able to mint secret NFTs. You can view secret NFTs. They can have public metadata as well as private metadata. You'll be able to collect and trade and auction. And more secrets to come, but we can't reveal those today. Lastly, I want to put this call to action out there and wrap up. We are relaunching our community program of secret agents. It's been in the works for a while. We have a ton of secret agents all around the world, I would say thousands, and we've been looking for more ways to engage people. You know, in these NFT communities, you see people be like, I'm a lion, I'm a zebra, I'm a bear, I'm a panda, I'm a koala. We want secret agents to be able to say, I'm a defender of privacy, which is why we made all these cool hats. So if you care about privacy and you also want cool NFTs and cool swag and access to special events and all these cool gated stuff that you get by being a member of these online communities, become a secret agent. Go to that site, scrt.network/agents. Just sign up. We will send you your first mission via email eventually. Stay tuned for a broadcast. It'll come from the agents program. But we're super excited to see what we can do for agents around the world. You can host meetups in your own cities. Whatever you want, but we have a lot of surprises in store for anybody who's an agent. If you're one of the first 100 agents to sign up, your NFTs will probably be a little special in a way that I can't tell you, but you know, we're not going to stop there. We want millions of agents all around the world because Web3 privacy is important. So, you know, even if you're not one of the first 100, by being at this talk, you're already early. Thank you for being here. I think that was it. So just take a picture of this, follow our everything, and come find our booth. We're kind of over there. We're on this floor. We can give you this privacy hat. If we see you wearing the privacy hat, we will give you some additional secret swag. But thanks, everybody, for taking the time.
Thanks so much. Thanks.